What's up, War Report family? Auburn fans are loving what Hugh Freezes is doing in recruiting, but how does his first class stack up to the last coach's first class? Also, Auburn Basketball continues their home dominance with a 13-point win over number 13 Arkansas. All this, we're going to get into it on today's Weekend Tailgate.
You are now listening to a Auburn Report Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by Athletic Architect. It's your boy, Ike Jones. Be Will, C-Dog, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Report Weekend Tailgate.
It's Sunday. This is today's Weekend Tailgate. I'm Mike G, here with my guy Ike Jones and B Will. C-Dub has the day off to take care of some things he's got going on, but he'll be able to share that news with you guys when he comes back, definitely. Fellas, how are we feeling so far this morning?
I'm good, man. It's always a lovely day, you know what I'm saying, when I get to go watch a upset on the plains, down in Neville Arena, wake up to some transfer news. Feels really good. I'm currently watching. I told B Will this when I haven't put up the edits from the game yet. Like, I normally do the edits where you show all the Auburn stuff. But normally last year, we'll take last year, right? When Arkansas won, you just see in the comment section a bunch of WPS, right? We just put up the presser from last night, right? And they're still in the comment section saying "Go Hogs" and stuff like they just have like this Tourette's that every time that there's a video that mentions Arkansas, they have to come stream into the comment section and say something positive about their team, even though they lost. So whatever.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Arkansas fans. We appreciate it.
Well, if you're watching this today, get Tourette's and share our video. Share it a lot. Guys, we are dangerously close to 10,000 subs. Dangerously close. Share using @TheWarReport and hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Help us get to that 10K subscriber mark. It's a big milestone for a lot of YouTube channels. You guys have been so great as a community so far. Help push us over the edge. Also, if you're watching, hit the like button. That helps with the subs as well, too. So like and subscribe on YouTube to help get us going. You guys know we're on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Ike, got a few announcements before we get into today's topics. You want to hit them with it?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys know you need to become members of the War Report. I will be continuing my Watch the Film live series this week. This week, I'm going to be hitting up some stuff on Ron Roberts and the defense. So we're going to switch sides of the ball and go to the defense and make sure that they are good to go with what they've got going on over there. So you guys make sure that you lock in with us here. You have to be a member to be a part of the live stream. You have to be a patron to be able to do it a rewatch. So if you don't catch it live and you're a member, and you can't rewatch it unless you're a patron. Morning drops, we're going to continue those this week. Those are member-only chats. Anybody can tune in, but in order to be in the live chat, you got to be a member. If you are a member and you want to gift a membership to somebody, you can go ahead and do that. We appreciate each and every one of you doing that. We're going to give away another mug today. Hashtag Get Your Weight Up in the comments to be able to get yourself a mug, and make sure you lock in with us on our podcast, the Auburn Express, dropping audio only content. So if you are not listening to us on podcast, then you are not hearing the totality of the content that we're dropping out there. Make sure you lock in with us over there.
Yeah, listen, guys, let's get right into it. Auburn basketball notched a big win last night. A bounce back win, even, right? So we were kind of in the mode of maybe this team isn't as great as we thought they were. I think we saw a whole new Wendell Green last night. I want to start the conversation off about asking, which is the real Auburn basketball? Did we see this team's tippy top potential last night, or is the last loss more of the norm, right? Where is Auburn basketball right now on that spectrum?
You know what? Ike knows more, so let him clean up my mess after I just talk off the top of my head. All right.
All right.
So, I think what we're seeing is we're growing and we're getting better. Janai Broome had an early season injury, so wasn't 100% for a while. Wendell had an injury. He missed a game out on the West Coast. So what we're really seeing is this team, those two players who are also the most experienced players that they've been starters their whole careers. We know Jay Will was coming off the bench. Flanny was, of course, he looked like a premier player 2 years ago, and then he has to step back with the injury. And we still don't know where Flan is in his return or his development. I don't know which is to call the culprit at this point. But he looked better yesterday, but it was also a home game yesterday. So I don't know how much to make of what Flanagan gave us yesterday. But Janai Broome's skill set and Wendell Green's skill set, they are the two most important players on our team. Best players, I don't know. Most important players, most definitely. They both had early season injuries while we were figuring some things out. We had some guys step back, some younger players who got their minutes cut a little bit because they were coming along slowly, making a lot of errors, and we didn't quite have the cushion of talent that we had in the 2021-22 season where guys can just figure themselves out while we're still winning. We need everybody who's getting minutes to be their best selves, at least at this point in their development, so that we can win these games because we don't just have over-the-top, stupid talent to carry us through. So what I see is we are both teams. We are the team that lost to Georgia, and we're the team that beat Arkansas soundly at home. Right. We're absolutely both teams. Now, can Janai Broome and Wendell Green play those games? I think they can play games like they played last night more often going forward. I think we can see that from them. Them playing this game against the best opponent we played all season, that has a lot to do with them. I want to say figuring it out, but time and the ability to gel, but they needed those minutes together, and they needed to be healthy to play like this. So we're seeing that we can be better. That's not even our best selves because we have a lot of guys who still aren't contributing that could contribute. Trey Orr could give us something offensively. West Street could do some ball handling and some scoring for us. But those guys have to get on the court for that to happen. We could deepen our rotation, and we could still shoot better. We could always shoot better. But defensively, that might have been the best game we played all season. Like one thing.
I have a question for Ike. I have a question for Ike here on this. Did Auburn up their game last night, or did we see Arkansas have an off night?
No, Arkansas didn't have an off night. Arkansas. So let me answer both of the questions you've asked. This is more of what you should expect from Auburn because the defense played so well, because we are a defensive team. We shot better last night than we typically had been. A lot of that was Wendell Green shooting better, though. Jay Will did not have a good shooting night. He had an average shooting night. Janai Broome, though he had a double-double, only 10 points, did not have a great shooting night. He was better in Georgia than he was offensively at home last night. But this is more of the team that you should see, which is somebody has an off night, somebody else steps up. Right. And so you got from Wendell Green what you expect to get from him from the outside. You don't get what you expect inside from Janai, but he does his job on the boards. Jay Will does his job, and just making sure that he's a threat and hitting some timely buckets. This is the Auburn team that I expect to see more often than not. Now, we are going to struggle more on the road. We're going to struggle more on the road. But if this defense comes to play this way, and so answering your second question, did Arkansas have an off night? Arkansas doesn't shoot the ball well. They just don't. Like, they're not a great perimeter shooting team.
34% from the field, I think, last night.
Which is why we went to the zone. We were basically like, your strength is shoot. And Bruce Pearl talked about this in the post-game presser. You guys can go watch it. It's up on the channel right now. He said, we know they're better from 2 than they are from 3. So they're going to play we played them in a zone to make them shoot threes more often and try to force them out of the paint because they have quality big men, but they can't step outside and shoot the same way. If you actually go and watch it, this is something I plan on doing. When I get the film, I'm going to look at how they specifically keyed in their zone on the guys they knew could shoot. Everybody else, they were just like, all right, cool. Let him shoot. That's fine. We're going to contest. But this guy, if he even touches the ball on the perimeter, they're making sure they're running at him differently, right? And that's Pinion was the main guy on their team that I'm focusing on when I say that. This was just a masterful and shout out to Missouri. Missouri was the first team to employ this against Arkansas, but this was Bruce Pearl and company saying, "Oh, that works. Cool. We can do that." We have the talent and the athletes to reproduce this same thing.
Right.
We're just going to do it. So this is a great coaching job. And then I got to shout out my boy Zep Jasper. He was out there. They was like, oh, y'all want to play one-on-one? Y'all ain't know Zep could go in his bag. Zep went out there, gave him a little wop, a couple of times, hit him with a little step back. I said, okay, ISO Zep. We got a new iteration of Zep Jasper coming out there. He put him against the freshman, and he gave the freshman all he could handle for about 3 possessions in a row. He hit 2 of them. That third one, if he had hit that 3,
that was a heat check.
Hey, if he had hit that 3, the roof would have come off the building last night.
For real.
Yeah. So for reference, Ike and B. Will, Arkansas shot 10 more free throws than Auburn in this game. They went 19 for 32 from the free throw line. Auburn went 17 for 22 from the free throw line. So that was significant. I mean, you could almost argue hit your free throws, and this is just a whole different game. So, and as far as rebounds go, Auburn got out rebounded 45-32.
Yo, it was one possession, man. Arkansas, they got like 5 offensive rebounds. I was like, come. I mean, you can always attribute just the luck of the bounce to an offensive rebound or two, no problem, right?
For sure.
We got the guy. Broom's not the tallest guy, and he's not a super leaper, right? So if you've got a 6'10", 6'11" guy that has any type of athleticism, he can out rebound at least Janai Broom because Cardwell's a little taller. That was not luck. That like I don't even know what to say it was. It's not like our guys weren't hustling for the ball. I was like, come on, that's gonna look stupid on the board off of this one possession. It was wild.
Well, I mean, again, to kind of bolster your point, B. Will, it was 17 offensive rebounds versus 7. So on the one possession, you're saying they just kept getting the rebound, and it kind of skewed the stats a little bit. Yeah. So great win for Auburn. Now, I do want to kind of address some of the social media. Arkansas fans are saying, you guys won your Super Bowl.
Since what? I'm not. Can I get on a soapbox?
Please go ahead. Please, somebody, one of us, please go.
So first and foremost, I tweeted this last night, and I stand by this. Can we stop calling big games in basketball the Super Bowl of that? Because the Super Bowl is an actual thing that's for football.
In another sport, yeah.
It's a whole difference. I get it. It's a big game. But, can we find, there is a national, this was you all's national championship game. That metaphor fits perfectly because it's a single game for the same sport. So can we start there? And I'm not saying, Auburn fans do it too. Fans all over the freaking country do this. It's not the Super Bowl because it's not the same sport. First and foremost. Secondly, how were you our Super Bowl or whatever the heck you want to call? How is Arkansas?
Auburn won the SEC last year.
Now, Bruce Pearl did say this is the biggest home win he's had coaching as an Auburn head coach. It is.
Is it really?
That's what he said. He feels like this is the biggest home win that he's had. I'd argue Kentucky last year was a bigger win.
Yeah, I argue any win versus Kentucky at home.
See, the thing is, it was the upset, right? Like it was the higher ranked team. And so this is when stuff. So, and I wanted to address this concurrently. Monroe says, yeah, but Arkansas's best 2 players were hurt. That win was good, but I'm not really sure what it means. Here's my question. Even with that, who gave us a chance to win this game?
Right.
Even with their best 2 players being hurt, I couldn't find a person online that said anything positive about Auburn's basketball team. They questioned the coach. They questioned. We were a bubble team in most people's heads before last night.
Yeah,
we're barely gonna make it to the NCAA tournament. So their 2 best players being hurt shouldn't matter. We're trash, right? We're terrible. We're a terrible team. Do I need to go pull receipts? Because there are people in this chat right now who said it. We're trash, terrible team. Bad coach, Bruce Pearl doesn't care anymore, all of that stuff. I saw it repeatedly.
Right.
But last night was the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Come on, cuz.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling the whole this is your Super Bowl. I mean, they literally stormed the court after they beat us last year. And we were just like, good game. Right this year. Now, at the end of the day, the storming of the court probably had more to do with us being ranked number 1 than anything. Right. But
so
let's not get
pause
out
right
of
there.
here.
Say what you just said again. Them storming the court had more to do with what?
Us being number one.
Auburn being number one.
Auburn being number one.
Yeah. Auburn was number one when they beat us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
What was and Arkansas was ranked number one. Had to be because it was the Super Bowl. So they were ranked number one last night.
Right. No,
Right.
They were not.
Oh, they
not.
weren't.
Oh,
Oh, they weren't.
I can confirm that they were.
I'm tripping because it was. I forgot there was a 3 after the 1, so they were ranked 13th.
I ain't gonna be ranked that tomorrow.
So, okay, got it.
Now,
not the Super Bowl. Got it. Okay.
That takes me to another thing that I kind of want to talk about. I've always felt like Auburn has struggled to climb the rankings after big wins, whereas you see other teams make monumental leaps after a win like that. Where are we anticipating Auburn lands right now? I think it's 22. So tomorrow, it's Mondays where they release college football, college basketball rankings. Where do we anticipate Auburn to land on the spectrum in terms of rankings after what was kind of a deflating loss? But then I'm struggling to call it a dominant win, but it
was a dominant win.
But double-digit
they
win
were up
over
by double digits for the vast majority of the second half of that game.
Yeah, how much does the loss mean versus the win here, given the opponents?
So you lose to Georgia. I don't think Georgia's as bad as they were last year. I think there's going to be a little bit of, okay, Bruce and his guys are figuring it out. I think it's better that we won this game after we lost the Georgia game, because that means, okay, you guys get to figure some stuff out. How do you look coming back out? And we wouldn't jump more than, I don't think, 1 or 2 spots, maybe 20. 20 is about where we land. But a lot of it is, does the public, does the voting media think this team is better, or did they just show up one game? And they always give you preference if you've got a lot of talent. Like if Kentucky has a really big win, then they would say, oh, Calipari's got them figuring it out, and they've got all that talent, so they must be about to get really good. They don't think Auburn is as talented as they were last, which is why we held the number 1 spot last year. They were like, oh, Walker Kessler doing that. You got Jabari Smith. These guys are going to be fantastically great. These wins are justifying our expectation of the greatness of their talent. So we're going to give them a really high ranking. This year, they're not as high in our talent. So we're not going to get the type of boost from this. We already lost 3 games. We hadn't even lost by this point last year. So I don't expect us to climb a lot, but 1 or 2 spots.
1 or 2 spots. I mean, some of that will depend again on what happened around us as well, too, around Auburn as well. So when you look at who won and who lost, I just have always felt like when it comes to this, Auburn will notch a big win, and to your point, B. Will, it's like a 1 to 2 spot jump where we see other teams, if they had beat Arkansas in this manner, will jump 5, 6, 7, 8 spots in the rankings. So we'll see. We'll see if the public perception of where this team is at, because shooting has been a problem. They have struggled to shoot the ball the last couple of years, and it's been noted. So for Bruce Pearl to be able to kind of turn his guys around and get this big win, I feel like they're going to have to win with defense a lot moving forward. So, and then you need this version of Wendell Green more often.
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah.
You need this version, right, of Wendell Green more often. He was attacking the basket. I felt like he was getting more calls going to the hole than he was in the previous game. And then last year, kind of moving forward, we talked a lot about how Jabari Smith was Auburn's best player, but Walker Kessler was Auburn's most important player, right? This season, who do we feel is the best player and who is the most important player? Because last year it was clear cut who the most talented guy was in terms of all around game. But, this year, how do we see this team? I feel like Janai Broome might be the most important player. Yeah, he's definitely filling Walker Kessler's role. But who do we feel is the best player on Auburn basketball squad this year?
I actually think Janai Broome's the best player.
He might be both. Is he both?
And no, but I think it's a combination of Jay Will and Wendell Green being the most important.
Jay Will.
Well, the reason I say Jay Will is because the versatility he brings and the counter of what he brings to Janai. Like, he's literally the opposite of Janai Broome, right? Janai Broome is this post guy who has good touch around the basket, and he's an excellent defender.
Right.
Jay Will is more finesse. He's more 15 to 3-point range guy. right? He is going to handle the ball a little bit. He's an okay defender, but not great defender. And Janai Broome is this very braggadocious, in your face. He's going to taunt you. He's going to talk junk the whole game. He's going to, ruffle people's feathers. Jay Will, exact opposite. Calm, quiet demeanor. He is the guy that if Jay Will is on, it makes it so much harder to defend Auburn because he plays inside out so well. And when he can step out and shoot the three, it's just a different, because he's the best 3-point shooter on this team. Statistically, Simo is the best, but for me, consistently with the volume, Jay Will's the best 3-point shooter on the team.
How weirdly clutch was I tried to draw a foul, but I'm going to hit the three anyway.
Oh, that was a big shot. Yeah,
it was a big shot.
The pump fake, and because it was at the end of the shot clock. Like it was literally everything you needed to happen right there in that moment. Was we got to get a shot up. He pump fakes the guy, and then he raises up and then knocks it. When I was watching, I was like, oh crap. Oh
yeah, then he hit it. Okay. He hit the shot. Yeah, yeah. It looked strange live, but he's had some big moments. In games for Auburn. I feel like Jalen is massively underrated in terms of importance to this team. Yeah. He gets lost in the conversation, but when he's playing at a high level, it kind of gives Auburn, another dynamic. He's kind of like mid-range, like paint game where he's just kind of, 6-7 feet from the basket and he's making shots and getting his own rebound and putting it back. I mean, I think he's a really important player to this team. So that's a good point. That's a good point. B. Will, you got any thoughts? Best versus most important?
I'm willing to say Janai Broome is the best just because of his impact on offense and defense. And we don't have a player who's affecting off. Like, again, I'm in the post, give me the ball. And I can make something happen, whether it's with my first move or with getting my own rebound and making something happen. So he's the only person I think who can probably just get a shot whenever he wants to, if it's a one-on-one situation. I think Wendell Green is probably the most important because the combination of ball handling and actually facilitating the offense. Trey Donaldson looked like he might get there, but if you take Jay Will out, he does a lot of really important things. Jay Will does. If Wendell Green's not in the game, this offense doesn't move. It almost just grinds to a halt, and we have to count on guys making something happen. Like Zepp was able to get some moves off on the freshman. We have to have that, or then we just rebound so aggressively with athleticism, which we can do, and we can't get buckets like that. We have to get in transition off defense. Wendell allows us to have some form of half-court offense, and I don't think anybody else on the team does. That's why I think Wendell's the most important player.
I kind of agree with you, and if for some reason he starts to catch fire from outside, Auburn is going to be a really, really dangerous team. Now, the SEC, to me, is wide open this year. Alabama appears to be legit. This version of Alabama appears to be legit. There's I think there's going to be a lot of parity coming into the end of the basketball season here. Let's get to some comments. You guys, thanks for joining us on today's Weekend Tailgate. SS Austin says it's freezing today. We're going to get into why it's freezing. I see what he did there. Is it me, or does it seem like Freeze has done more these last several weeks than Gus and Harsin combined? We're going to get into this. Corey Weber.
We'll definitely talk about it.
We're going to get into this. D-Lev says, I would like to see Zepp shoot a little bit more. Like, you got any thoughts on his shot?
I think Bruce Pearl wants Zepp Jasper to shoot more. He said as much. Zepp is probably one of the better pure shooters on the team. He just needs to shoot it confidently. I think that's the thing I liked the most about the ISO stuff for him was it showed. I mean, it wasn't even like it was clear. They were just like, get out of the way, let Zepp work. And I was shocked. I was like, the first time I thought it was just, late in the shot clock, we got the ball to Zepp. But when they came back down at the top of the clock and did it again, I was like, they about to let Zepp cook. And he hit the second one. I was like, wait a minute, wait, what? When did you become a dude? I mean, the step game. The third time, I was just like, Okay, so this is a thing. Y'all saw something on tape, and you was like, "Oh, the freshman dude that they got out there that can shoot, he can't guard. Whoever's checking him, we're just gonna ISO him." And so Arkansas promptly pulled him out of the game.
Yeah.
After the third shot, they was like, "Oh, man, they're gonna isolate Pinion. Okay, get him out of there." Because the third one looked like it was going down too. Definitely want to see Zep Jasper shoot the ball more.
Yeah, I like his game. I think he adds a lot to what Auburn does. Marion Thomas, what is with KD? Is he done at Auburn? Listen, this is kind of like I don't want to say an underlying storyline, but it appears there's something internal going on with KD. They have not, benched him completely. He's getting in there, but I assume as we progress through, there are going to be more questions about what his role is on this team. Will, you have any thoughts on why Auburn has kind of pulled back from KD a little bit?
I mean, I don't know if it's on court or off court stuff. I know KD has a short fuse on the court, and it makes me wonder if they're like, "Hey, you gotta calm down."
Are they over it? Yeah.
If some of that, like for every call that doesn't go our way, he's kind of giving the ref the glare and giving them the stink face. It's like, hey, these same guys got to make calls for us later in this game. Like, I would, if we were just going by what happened on the court, I would think if anybody needed to lose minutes, it might be KD because of the combination of turnovers and the shooting percentage. Both of those are poor or had been poor, especially in games where we lose. I was hoping that KD came back more under control, and I think he's shown control more often this season than he did last season. But still, attitude, shooting percentage, turnovers, those three things for him need to get much better for us to be consistently good with our rotation, because he's a vital part of that rotation. We were on that run early in 2021-22 season. He was making shots. And maybe that's why you didn't hear so much from him as far as negative on the court, because he's making shots. We're winning. Things are good. But when things didn't go easily or go well for him, whether it was his play or the team losing, he got more out of control, play-wise and attitude-wise.
Yeah.
And maybe this is Bruce just trying to teach him a lesson and reel him back in. If so, he did seem to play a little better yesterday. So maybe those reduced minutes are having a positive effect. I don't know.
Yeah, listen, coaching is a multifaceted job. And part of it is being able to get the most out of your players in different ways. So, kind of like maybe like the mental part of this, he's trying to send a message about, and teach this young man about like where, lines are at, and to keep under control more. So I'll be interested to see how that develops. James Stallings, here's the thing about the Super Bowl.
Wait a minute. Let me pause for a second and talk about the KD thing. I actually think KD played well last night.
I did. No comment on his play.
That was his best game.
Yeah, but it's more about other stuff, right? Yeah. Like there's other stuff going on there. James Stallings, here's the thing about the Super Bowl thing. People need to remember we are the standard over the last 5 years in basketball. Who has done more? Is Auburn the standard? And I mean, when you say the standard, I'm going to shrink this down to conference. Is Auburn now the standard in the SEC, given the amount of SEC championships they've had over the last 5 years, and overall success?
I lament every day. I'm sure there are a lot of people who are really upset that the 2021 season didn't get a chance to finish.
Yeah.
Because I think that team may have made just as deep a run as the 2019 team.
That's the Isaac Okoro team.
That's the team. Sure. They had come together. I didn't see them winning the conference like they did. But that, I think if that season plays out, then you've got 2019, 2020, the 2021 team, not the Sharif Cooper team, because of course he wasn't there that long. And then Jabari Smith team. I think you got 3 times in 5 years where we win the conference and maybe even the conference tournament. We win it twice in that year with Okoro, and then make another deep tournament run, because the only reason I don't think we're the standard is because we haven't produced in the tournament outside of 1 year.
Right.
1 year we produced in the tournament. We have not produced in the tournament. You can kind of say, well, we underachieved last year. I think our bugaboos, what our issues were just blatant, and we couldn't resolve them with the personnel that we had last year. So I do think it's fair to say winning the SEC is important. Doing something in the tournament, in my opinion, is equally as important as what you do inside the conference. So in that respect, I don't think we're the standard yet.
Ike, are we the standard?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're the best regular season team that the conference seen in the last 5 years easily. But as far as built to win it in March, no. We haven't done enough yet there to be the standard. I think that there is a lot to be said though about winning your conference regular season. And
it's a grind.
What I'll say is we've changed the standard of what Auburn basketball is 100%. People come here and they don't see it as a dub on their schedule anymore.
Yeah,
there were years where you had Auburn on your schedule, it was never circled.
Yeah.
It was just like you just went ahead and chalked that up as a win. If you lost, it was an upset. Now you come in here and you take a L, and it's like, well, it's really hard to win there.
Right. Jordan, I'm sorry. I was about to say Jordan Hare, but Auburn has one of the greatest home court advantages in college basketball now. I saw the stat, but did you guys see the stat about when the last time they lost at home was? Like it's like one loss in the last 30 games.
27 game win streak, but I don't know when the last loss was.
Loss was, right? Yeah, I mean it's become like they're starting to recognize that just coming into the arena is +5 for Auburn, right? Like it's really tough to play in Auburn, and those guys have created kudos to the administration and the people. This isn't the same Coliseum that we had in college.
Right?
Yeah, it is something. It is a whole different beast, and they have turned that thing into one of the best home court advantages in college basketball. Paul Tukto, welcome to the beginning of conference play where rankings don't matter, and Arkansas is always overrated.
Like
yeah, is Arkansas overrated? We're talking about a Sweet 16 team last year. Are they overrated?
To me, it's way too early in the season for us to start talking about how far. Like you want to project forward, but it's really difficult to do that right now because we are just starting conference play,
right?
And you're going to be seeing. This is the time of year where you go against the coaches that you are more accustomed to seeing, so you understand their systems more. A lot of the players are carryovers from last year, so you have some continuity there. You understand each other a little bit better, and some of these people you're going to play more than one time before we get to March. So it's a little difficult to say that they're overrated right now. From a talent perspective, look, they had done enough. Arkansas had beat teams that were on their schedule they should have beaten, and they lost some close games, right? Like Missouri looks super real. Missouri look real. But I don't think Arkansas is overrated. A mid-teens rating for Arkansas, I think, is about where they should be right now in the season.
I would tend to agree with that. I think they're a tough team, and notching a win over them, can't be overlooked at all. So kudos to them for going out there and getting that. I want to get to this comment, and again for Ike. Have we had a really great shooting night? Marion Thomas asks.
There was it Bradley that we went out there and shot the lights out against? I think that was really the only game where like we hit a ridiculous amount of threes in that game. Like we've had one. This was probably the second best shooting night we've had all season, though. I think I tweeted this at halftime. We had gone something like 5 of 12 from 3, and I was just like, I don't even understand who this team is. 5 of 12 from 3 is ridiculous. But a lot of that, again, was Wendell Green coming out and shooting well early.
Right.
He knocked a couple of them down, and he got his confidence where it needed to be, and it made it where him getting downhill was a little bit easier. And he's doing that against guards that are significantly taller than him, right? And so his play elevating along with the competition, I think, is something that Auburn needs to do. But as far as a great shooting night, I mean, second half was just okay. It wasn't like Northwestern pathetic, but it wasn't great either. It wasn't first half great, but I think we kind of leveled out a little bit in the second half of the game. But overall, a good shooting night.
43% from the field, 43.6% from the field. Auburn was last night versus Arkansas. 7 of 21 from 3. Arkansas shot 2 of 16 from 3-point range.
Yeah, and again, that's why you play zone against them.
Right.
I'm actually surprised Arkansas didn't counter with a zone against us.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess maybe the early threes made them decide they didn't want to do it, but like I would be shocked if we don't see more zone as we get into the season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of moving forward if Auburn can improve the shooting percentage from the field, at least a few points. It would scare me, right, the way they've been shooting on average throughout the season going into postseason play, about how far they're going to go if they have a bad shooting night and maybe an off defensive night. Because right now I feel like this team against good teams can afford to have an off defensive night and expect to win.
No, defense is how we're going to win basketball games for sure.
Yeah. Blake's World says, not sure if this has been covered yet or not. What's the deal with Spencer Sanders? We're going to talk football here in the second half of the show. So Blake, hold on to that. Daniel, I love Robbie, but with Spencer Sanders being obvious outright QB in the Freeze Montgomery offense, again, football, we're going to get into this. I think this is going to be one of the most anticipated spring ball practices that we've seen in a really, really long time. With the coach that is an offensive mind and maybe a little bit more proven at developing quarterbacks. And, we're going to see how they do the player shuffle this spring. A couple more comments here before we get to the midpoint of the show. Most significant stat last night was only 7 turnovers.
Amen.
If that happens each night, we're in every single game protecting the ball. What do you think, guys, about, Auburn's turnover rate?
That's really this is 100% true. Protecting the ball is like, if you're not going to shoot the ball well, you can't just give them free possessions. You need to at least get shots up, right? If you're not even getting them up to the basket, you don't have a chance to shoot yourself out of a slump. This is another thing that Coach Pearl taught. Again, I need a lot of people to apologize about the slander they've been hurling towards Coach Pearl. This is another thing that he talked about in the post-game presser that was a thing that they worked on for this game specifically, because they understood that Arkansas likes to jump passing lanes, right? And so what you saw from the offense was a lot of dribble handoff stuff. Like, normally when they're passing the ball around the perimeter doing what they're doing, they're not doing it as a dribble handoff. They're just doing it as a pass. We had been lazy with our passes, so he was like, all right, cool. Our exchanges are going to be dribble handoffs now instead, and we're going to just run curls around that action. That's what coaching is. That's understanding what another team is good at. Take that away from them. Understand the thing that they do well defensively. Change how you play your offense. Same offense. It's the same flex that we were running down low. It's just the top changed. Instead of a pass, it was a dribble handoff.
Right.
Hey, man, y'all owe Bruce Pearl an apology. You owe him an apology, and I want to see a bunch of tweeted apologies. Coach, as adamant as you were of hitting at Coach Bruce Pearl needs to step up and all this stuff. At Coach Bruce Pearl, I apologize. You killed it last night.
Yeah, listen, I mean, I think Bruce Pearl has kind of proven what you see the first half of the season is not necessarily what you're going to see the second half of the season. They have, been able to turn it around to get things going. And particularly in the Final Four season, I mean, that was it. Nobody saw this team making a deep run. They were a bubble team, again, mid-season. After I lost to Kentucky. So you're right. A lot of people may actually owe Coach Pearl an apology. Guys, owe us an apology, but you can share this video using @TheWarReport, hashtag Get Your Weight Up, like and subscribe. These likes mean a lot. We are dangerously close to 10,000 subs. And I don't know if you guys know what that means, but I'm going to tell you what that means. It is a mark that most channels never attain. Right. So there are like 50 million YouTube channels or something. Like, I think I read a stat where there are it's like a third of the people on Earth. That's how many YouTube channels there are.
Wow.
Right. And so to hit 10K would be massively a great accomplishment for us. You can help us by liking and subscribing on every video. So at this point in the show, we're going to take some time to pay some bills.
This edition of the War Report is made possible by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Athletic Architects. For young athletes looking to secure their financial futures, let Athletic Architects help you start to build your financial house. Head over to BuildTheHouse.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
Definite props to all of the supporters and sponsors of the War Report. We appreciate those of you who are right here in this live chat and maybe even watching later that have those green names next to you. We appreciate all of you for continuing to support the War Report and getting some of the best Auburn content out here on the internet. If you want to become a part of the green name gang, you need to go ahead and get a membership tomorrow, or this week, I should be saying. We're diving into defensive film for new defensive coordinator Ron Roberts. So if you want to take a look at what that defense looks like, you got to be a member to be able to do that. Specifically, you need to be a patron if you're not going to be able to catch it live, because those are midday things. I understand people got to go to work, but if you want to rewatch it, you got to be a patron. Morning drops are happening right now. If you want to be in the live chat for the morning drop, you've got to be a member and able to do in order to do that. If you are a member and you want to send somebody else the gift of happiness and sunshine, the best way to do that is to gift a membership to the War Report, because otherwise their life might be meaningless and unfulfilled. And you don't want to do that to your fellow humanitarians.
Meaningless and unfulfilled.
Yeah, listen, man, be a humanitarian, be a friend of society, and gift the membership to the War Report to some soul out there who didn't understand what it was like to move from poverty into the abundance that is War Report membership. We're giving away a mug today in case you want to be able to put a cup of Arkansas fan tears together. We have the receptacle for that right here, the War Report mug. Hashtag get your weight up right now in the comments to be able to get that. Sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services. We appreciate them for continuing to be sponsors of the War Report, but you can get a free mug here in about 20 minutes or so. We're going to give that away to someone who is a lucky soul, and we appreciate all of y'all.
Yeah, big shout out to all our sponsors. Again, like I said, become the green name gang. If you're wondering what that means, ask somebody in the chat what it means to be part of the green name gang and join up, guys.
Yo, wait until y'all see that new Heat Ike Jones design. I don't even want to say no more. It's fire.
Oh, talking about the mug. Oh yeah, we can take the mug. It's up. It's in the store now.
Oh, it's in the store?
Yeah.
Listen, man, that's my favorite thing you've ever done, and you've done some fire stuff. But that morning drop mug, I see Ike Jones.
Yeah.
We gotta do it, man.
Yeah,
I got 2 iterations of the morning drop mug. If y'all want to go in there and get you a new mug, that's not the one we're giving away. Matter of fact, I know I don't have the graphic for it, but I'll give one of them away. We'll give away a new mug. Yeah, we'll do that. I know the graphic shows the other mug. I'll give you guys a new mug today.
Yeah. You know what? I like that. I got some for myself personally. I thought as soon as I saw it, I was like, "Ooh, I need to drink from the holy grail of greatness there that you created." Guys, let's pivot to football. As always, the focus has kind of been on what's happening now that Coach Hugh Freezes is on the train. He has dived straight into recruiting. And I asked him about the portal during his opening press conference and how they plan to utilize that. But this is a coach that has stressed quick turnarounds, and he's going to have to lean on the portal. Auburn is getting commits. I can't stress that enough. So
while we're on air, they've got a new commit.
Yeah, like literally, it's happening.
That's what I'm looking at over here. Yeah.
So Demario Tolan, linebacker from LSU, is coming over. This was a 4-star guy.
Big
big pickup there for the Tigers. Guys, how do we feel about the work that Hugh Freeze is doing in the portal right now? I mean, it seems like there is a lot of momentum around this. Now, mind you, we still don't have like a universal way to rank recruiting classes with these portal commitments. Right. We just don't have we don't have a way to look at that. I think maybe one service is trying to come up with a form like some kind of formula for that. But what are they doing so differently and seemingly right when it comes to picking up kids out of the portal? Ike, I'll start with you.
I think that it's just there's a different energy first and foremost. Like, as much as I liked the demeanor of Coach Harsin, people have said it multiple times, he wasn't a cultural fit. I think the cultural fit of Coach Hugh Freeze has paid dividends. We saw the cultural fit just absolutely change the culture with just the interim status of Cadillac, right? When Carnell Williams became the coach of Auburn, the culture changed immediately. Like literally, it felt like overnight it was a new culture in the building. I think the fit of Coach Hugh Freeze with that culture just energizes the building a little bit more, because your top recruiters are still the same guys. It's still Cadillac. It's still Etheridge. right? Like those two guys, Trevon is still there, right? A lot of the off the field recruiting staff hasn't changed. Like none of that stuff has changed. It's just the mechanism that heads the organization has changed the energy, which has changed what we're doing from, a giving standpoint towards what we're getting for our NIL collectives. It's opened those purse strings a little bit more. Those things coupled with, I think, the energy of the newer guys that he's brought onto the staff and his personal commitment to recruiting is a little bit different than what Coach Harsin does, right? And so I don't know.
A little bit different or a lot of bit different?
Well, no, it's a lot different, but I'm just saying, like, as far as just he wants to go do all of the shaking hands and kissing baby stuff, right? He wants to go to all of the dinners. He wants to go pop up at the high schools. Like all of that stuff is stuff that he wants to do. And so I think that means something to the people who it's supposed to mean something to, between the recruits, the high school coaches, and the people with the money.
Right.
And so that results in a different level of what you're seeing as far as dividends in just raw numbers. And then his understanding of where he needs to put the effort in.
Right.
Trenches. We're going to go get big boys on the offensive line. We're going to go get our defensive line solidified. And he's making a concerted effort to do. I still don't understand why we're getting 5,000 DBs, but
hey man, listen. Listen. I mean, I don't either.
I was like, yo, this secondary is gonna be. How are they gonna keep all these guys?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
They're gonna be out there in a dime package every single play, and they're just gonna have 6 DBs out there flying around. And maybe some of these guys are hybrids, right? So they're linebacker looks, but they're safeties for real. And I don't know what we're going to do. It's going to be interesting to see because we just landed another defensive back in CJ Johnson. Like, I don't know where all these guys are going to play, but.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, which brings me to another point about the turnaround, the culture turnaround.
Right.
How do we feel? Because how do we feel about Bryan Harsin's first class versus what Hugh Freezes is doing now? Listen, I mean, this is a wildly subjective topic, right? I mean, and it's hard to do an apples to apples comparison because Harsin got hired essentially after early signing day, based on them firing Gus at the end of the season, right? Hugh Freeze maybe he got to get in before early signing day. So, he had a chance to, actually put a mark on this class. Bryan Harsin had some notable signees at the normal signing day that is in February. Guys like Jarquez Hunter and a couple other guys committed later, signed their letter of intent later. But, why does this look like? How does this stack up, do you think? Because according to composite rankings, they're about even. Right. But because of the portal, which we can't really measure, is there a wide gap, and did Hugh Freeze do a better job of filling needs that they needed rather than just getting numbers and stars in that first recruiting class?
Well, the numbers and stars, I think that was a problem that was symptomatic of Auburn under Gus Malzahn, which was we got a bunch of guys. We usually ended up somewhere between 8 and 12, but the impact of the class was not nearly what the ranking was. And there was for a lot of reasons. Some of it was evaluation. Some of it was fit. We know a lot of guys got here and never contributed before they left, whether it was dismissal or transfer or whatever the reason was. And there were some glaring positions that never got filled under Gus. Now, what Harsin went through was, again, most of the class was done when he got here. So he picked up a couple guys. I think the biggest judgment of what you could say Bryan Harsin's recruiting legacy would be after the first season and how we signed a couple guys, not a couple. We signed some guys on early signing day, but February getting nothing.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were, Ike and I were talking about this offline. A lot of people were like, where were the signing day? I mean, and this year, let's talk about this. This year, realistically, how many guys are you expecting to sign? It feels like the class is full. So how many guys are you expecting Hugh Freeze to sign on the actual
national signing day?
Yeah.
I would say you probably want to get somewhere close to 25, 26 total Right now, we're sitting at, I think, 18 or 19. I mean, I don't count commits, just actual signees.
Right.
There's some other guys that are committed, but I think we're sitting, I want to say I don't want to quote the wrong number. I think we're in the teens as far as number of actual commits.
Oh, it's 21. It's 21. CJ Johnson makes 21.
Right.
But he's just committed, right? He hasn't signed.
No, he had already signed.
Oh,
They were reporting that he had signed before. He was waiting till February to announce, but he just went ahead and announced.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that we cover this because a lot of people fried Bryan Harsin for not signing anybody on national signing day, which is in February. And again, I just want to talk about what's realistic for Hugh Freeze, given that a large amount of these kids commit early. Now they take advantage of that signing period. So, what are we expecting on National Signing Day? How exciting a day is that going to be? And are there any big names still left out there that are holding out that Auburn might be targeting for, the regular National Signing Day?
Yeah, we just hope Cobb doesn't get flipped. That's the biggest concern. Cobb's the only outstanding commit that we have that has not signed yet. So if Cobb doesn't flip, I think it's a good day because we filled so many needs between the end of the season and late signing day. Like right now, offensive line is stacked and we're still angling for a couple more. Defensive backfield, I don't know what they're going to do with those guys. Like I just have no idea. Linebacker, we could stand to get another one or two. You figure we're still in it for one or two. Defensive line, now they're stacked. And I don't know how much more room you got for those guys. Wide receiver room was already stacked. All right, running back the room wasn't stacked, but we're very talented back there. You could see maybe they get another one. We were in it for the guy from Mississippi State. He ended up committing to Washington State, I believe it was, or Washington, one or the other. So maybe you grab one more running back, just if you got the room for it. But we were already very thin numbers-wise. The offensive line, we don't have the depth. It's not like we had 7 or 8 offensive linemen on the roster, and we're just looking to see what we could do with them. No, we maybe had like 4 or 5. Maybe I'm not sure the exact number. We were thin there, and we're losing a grip of them. And Keandre Jones transferred. We very thin at linebacker compared to most teams in most years. We were very thin in a couple of positions, and that's what I think gives us the cushion to do a lot of over recruitment, really, of a couple of position groups right now.
Yeah. So I just looked it up just so we're correct on actual signed. So again, I'm not talking about committed. So the rest of these guys are verbals. We've got 18 signed, but 21 commit. So we've got Tyler Scott, who just committed during the All-American game, CJ Johnson, who just committed today, and then Jeremiah Cobb, who's been committed for a while. So those 3 are the only additional ones. So if we held serve, we would be signing 3 more on National Signing Day. I would expect us to get, I think 7 is I think a good number total. So we probably want to add 4 to 5 more to this class.
Yeah, listen, 4 to 5 more plus portal transfers. There was a comment here that we had about how many. Let me see if I could find this comment about Auburn is expected to essentially bring in 30 to 40 guys. That's how deficient they were in terms of numbers. How does that happen? Like, how do you get that far behind where a coach comes in and he's got room to sign essentially half of everybody half your limit?
Oh, so Corey corrected me. He said that Scott actually already signed his national letter of intent. So that puts us up another number right there. So good.
Right. So again, how do you get that number deficient in any program? To B's point, it sounds like B, you were kind of saying, Harsin's first class was really Gus's. Well, Gus left over.
Yeah, it was Gus's last class, really.
Yeah. Or that was his fault. He got signed after he got hired after early signing period, and then they had to do what they could do to bring in some guys. Now, listen, I want to be clear. Bryan Harsin brought in some impact players.
He did
for sure
for the squad. Keontae Scott, DJ James, Jarquez Hunter.
Equiliota, Marcus Harris.
Yeah, I mean, he brought in impact players, certainly. But past that, we were so talented. I mean, again, was this more Gus than it was? And then the carryover, Harsin couldn't fix the carryover, and the carryover, he just couldn't fix it.
Yeah. So let's not make shortcomings of this. NIL being booming and having it in order right now is making a huge difference.
Right.
It is making a monumental difference. The game has changed. While a lot of coaches are gonna boo-hoo about it and whine about it, Lane Kiffin, there's really no way to undersize that. You either got it or you don't. You know, if you're broke and ugly, you're gonna be complaining about how girls only like attractive dudes with money.
Yeah,
So if you're broke and ugly, yeah, it's hard out here for you. You know what? Don't date, or just date in your pool. You know what I'm saying? Go to the AAC, Ole Miss, if it's so hard out here. So what we're looking at is
we're gonna do a new segment called "Dating with B. Will."
that's your segment because I don't even date no more. you still in the game. So I mean, but really, NIL is doing work. NIL is doing work. We have needs that when Harsin came in at the end of 2020, how much of a need did we think the offensive line was? We knew it wasn't good. Yeah. We knew it wasn't terrible though. In 2021, they were very mediocre, but they were not terrible. After 2021, all of us, we said, listen, we need that much improvement, little improvement from the offensive line. Coaching would help, that strength and conditioning would help. I think Harsin thought, I just need to get these guys a little bit better. And then your center goes down. And then you lose a guard in the offseason. And then, the quarterback that you wanted to come in to help stabilize the offense with experience, his shoulders messed up from the year before and he could never go. And then you don't get the offensive coordinator that you targeted initially. And then the one that you did get has to bow out. And now all of this stuff happens at once. And you realize how much of an error it was in judgment not to over recruit the positions that were questionable to start. That was Bryan Harsin's error. Do we look a little shaky on the offensive line? Yeah, but I think we can get them. No, go get some more right now. Hey, I would like, we do this all the time. My wife be like, hey, I'm running around. Do we need anything? We probably got enough of these to make it through a couple more days. Get it right now so we don't have to go back out. Just get more of it because we're going to need it. If it's diapers, wipes, what do we need? Get it because we know we need it. We know it's essential to our day to day. So why even try to, maybe I can make this stretch? No, we can't. Get them because you don't know how the season is going to go. You don't know how bad injuries are going to bite the offensive line. We ended up playing 4 guys at center. 4 guys at center. Well, no, because Brahms didn't play. He would have been the first string.
He would have been, yeah.
So we were down to what is essentially a 4th string center between Jaleel Irvin getting a snap or 2, Brandon Council, and also Tate Johnson. That is extreme, but there's no way you don't know if you've been playing football. He's been around the game. Bryan Harsin knows how football goes. Injuries happen. This is the SEC. Trenches are heavier than any other conference. You stack up the most essential positions, and that is a mistake that Hugh Freeze, I'm sure he knew already that was how it goes. I saw how it went for the last guy. I'm not going to make that mistake here ever again. We're going to stack up, and he's over. I don't know. He has an over-recruited offensive line. Defensive back's another story, but offensive line, we look like we're finally getting up to par with where we should be. And Hugh Freeze is making a big push there.
Yeah, like offensive line, man. Listen, he's stacking the offensive line right now. I mean, we've signed like 10 times more guys than we have signed over the last like 6 years or going back to Gus. How is he able to do this? Right. And is this just a great job, or was it just being done that poorly before? Why were we able to get offensive linemen?
It's a mix. It's a mix of poor before and a great job with this one. I'm baffled at why and how we continue to be this underprepared for the offensive line situation. Specifically at offensive tackle. Like we had bodies, right? Like let's not pretend like we didn't have 18 offensive linemen in the offensive line room last year, right? We did. You can go look at the roster. There are 18 guys that were listed at offensive line, but we were very senior heavy, which is why we're talking about having to replace a lot of guys because like the vast majority of those guys, this was their last year of eligibility. And then we had transfers out, right? So between people losing eligibility and being the ones that got all the snaps and transfers, we were down bad in the offensive line. Like it was to the point where we didn't have a 2 deep, right? You play 5 guys along the offensive line. We had 9. So we couldn't even go 2 deep at offensive line if we hadn't signed some additional. So we needed it. We had the room, right? And that was part of the reason too with the previous class why we didn't sign anybody. We didn't have room to sign anybody. We would have had to process some guys out, or some of the people who we thought were going to graduate wouldn't have been there. The failing, I think, is you had room on the roster, right? We weren't at the requisite number of scholarships last year, but we didn't sign anybody either. Like, you could have filled that out with somebody and made sure that you had people in the room and bodies in the room to be able to give yourself some more leeway when you got to that next season of not having to go out and get transferred. But we didn't do that. And I don't know the reason why. That's a failing for this group. It was a failing under the Malzahn group to not get more offensive linemen in here that were able to play and actually see the field. A lot of the guys there are guys that are on this roster who haven't seen the field, probably never will see the field. That's not unusual, but it is unusual when that unit's been struggling so much.
Right. Offensive line obviously is of great importance here because there's going to be turnover. There's going to be a lot of turnover this year, and they're bringing in guys to compete, and they've got to do better in the trenches. Now, I will say, over the last 4 games of the season, our guy Carnell Cadillac Williams showed us that these guys had more in them than we were seeing over the first half of the season, based on the way they were able to rush the ball. And one of those games included the most rush yards on a Nick Saban Alabama coached team since he's been there. 301 yards, was it, Isaac? They went for on the ground versus Alabama. Like, it was over 300 yards. So these guys have more in them than most people realized. And I think to some extent they were being massively undercoached. And the scheme was bad. They were being asked to do something that just they weren't capable of doing. So Hugh Freeze is definitely going to do a better job there, it seems, because the bar was on the floor. Yeah, for those guys, right? And so the quick turnaround that he's promising may be attainable based on that. I want to get to some comments here before we get to our giveaway. Jerome D says Spencer committed elsewhere.
Did he commit?
Just talking
about Sanders?
Yeah, like, can we confirm that here? That Spencer Sanders is already committed elsewhere. They're all over the place in terms of reporting on this kid.
Yeah, because somebody announced, or they announced. Somebody tweeted out like on Friday night that Spencer Sanders had quietly committed already, and they were waiting to make an announcement. Which I don't know about that. We heard that about a couple other guys too. It didn't turn out to be true. But this particular source, I don't know if they had some inside info or not. So there were a lot of there was some smoke about Spencer Sanders to Auburn.
I've not heard this, so I don't know. Maybe Jerome's got some good sources that I don't have, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'm iffy on this one here. So we'll see about that, certainly. Dustin, safety from Texas, committed to Auburn. Yes, we saw that. There's a kind of a Texas takeover happening here. Auburn is raiding the state of Texas for players.
Zach Etheridge was out there in Houston, so he knows.
Right. So Texas is not too far, guys.
Yep.
To go get a recruit.
Not no more.
Cleveland Brown says got another secondary guy, CJ Johnson, committed as well too. So
a tall secondary guy.
Yeah. So getting linked definitely is important. Leo says Freeze.
Sunday. That's what she said. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
I'm dead. Laughing doesn't hurt anymore, but like I'm getting used to. It's okay to laugh at that, right? Like, Freeze is working, and it's really quiet from the track.
Quiet from the trash
down across the state. I think that he's doing the work.
Hey, listen. Let's be clear. Nobody's catching Bama this cycle. So
yeah, for sure.
They could not sign anybody else. They'll still have the #1 class this cycle. I don't even think that Georgia could catch them at this point in time with the number of guys that they have left that they can sign.
That's
and how many guys they already have in the class and the composite. They don't have to work no more. Like they're gonna need to do some work in the transfer portal. But as far as the recruiting class, I think they're done.
Yeah, people were there was a lot of Nick Saban is washed up. He's at the end of his tenure, stuff going on there, and then he, again, they're number one. I think they've got 2 more commits than UGA at this moment. But they are points ahead of them, and I think they would have to. I think UGA would have to bring in like 3 5-stars or something to catch them. I don't know. Like the Bama's class definitely looks ridiculous. Ken Willis, I love O-line and D-line focus in recruiting, and Freeze and the staff finished not just getting interest. So like O-line, D-line focus. Again, we've talked about this ad nauseum, right? You got to win. You got to win in the trenches in this conference, and they seem to know that. I don't know why that was so hard before, but it's refreshing to see it being addressed now. Kelsey Gardner says, I feel great about recruiting right now, filling all needs and doing it from the inside out. Now, again, from a Stars perspective, it's okay, right? But I think from a needs perspective, this is an A+, is it not?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an A+. D-Left says these commits are coming too fast. I could get used to this. It does feel like, again, comparatively speaking to what we were seeing before, was like, are we going to get a commit? Are we going to get a commit? Every day you're turning on your computer and your phone is going off and there's another commit. So the perception certainly is changing. Scandalous misconduct. It's so refreshing to be excited about Auburn football for the first time in 9 years. The first time in 9 years?
Wow.
You've been down bad for a minute. I'm not sure a 9-year time frame that would include 2017. Would that include 2017? That would include 2017.
Yeah.
Just barely.
Yeah.
If it sneaks in there. Corey Weber, doesn't Johnson make 3 safeties in this class? Need to move a couple to linebacker.
Yeah.
And some of them have been rumored, like Terrence Love. I think a lot of people think that he will likely play linebacker for us. And it's a possibility one of the other kids does too. So, yeah.
Kyle Sweat, you can't compare when you start via Zoom meeting recruits. Now, this is something that can't be understated as well, too. COVID made it really, really difficult to recruit during this. Now, everybody had to deal with it. Everybody had to do this. But for a new coach that missed early signing days, certainly, I would say this is a fair point here. Joey Fried Rice, good to see you. Hugh was the perfect fit. We have to stand behind him no matter what the media says. They will come after us if he wins. Joey, we are media. So, we'll try not to disappoint you, I guess. Kelsey Gardner from recruiting analysts, we're expected to sign 30 to 40. This is the comment I was talking about, 30 to 40 players this cycle. That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, if that includes transfers, then that's probably about what it should be, though.
Yeah. I mean, that's how number deficient Auburn has been.
Yeah.
Right. To be able to have the room to sign that many players, I think is quite telling. Mesa Alien, I think is what she's going for there. Maybe firing him before the end of the season was learning from past mistakes, giving Hugh Freeze and staff time to salvage something for early signing day.
I think so. Yeah.
Right. Like, how smart was it to just get Harsin out of here mid-season, patchwork the last half of the season, and 7 days after the Iron Bowl, you signed your new coach.
Yeah, that's rough though. With the Gus situation, you didn't know he was like the Harsin situation felt like it was heading that way, and
from like game 2,
and then but like you go to your bye week and you're like, all right, we're gonna give you one more shot, and then you go out there and lay the egg against Arkansas. They're like, all right, you know what? Let's just we're done. We're done. But there was never really that point with Gus Malzahn during the season, right? Like you were still like hopeful, and then you just kind of got your hopes dashed at the end of the year with Gus Malzahn, right? Like we were always teetering right on the edge, and then it would just be like, oh, really? This is how we gonna finish this thing off? Okay. All right.
I mean, that's Gusto, right? That was his tenure in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Right.
And so he's going to have the disappointing losses. Then he's going to have the unexpected wins. And it's just going to be like, what are we doing right now?
Right.
And then we get to a bowl game and we get beat, right? Like, or you play somebody who you're supposed to beat, you beat the brakes off of them, right? But like anything where it was evenly matched or we had to play up to somebody, we was going to get smashed. And so it was difficult. But with Harsin, it was actually an easier decision to make mid-season, because it's like, this is not going well right now.
Right.
And this is coming from somebody who was adamantly like, well, why does it matter? Like, why don't we just go ahead and just wait to the end of the season, get rid of them, and you can be, finding a new coach. But I think those 4 games mattered from again, showing culture change. And this is what Auburn can really be to these recruits. It mattered.
Right. Yeah. And that's why the selection of Caddy to reinvigorate the team and the fan base, because that home game against Texas A&M, that got us somebody. The people here on those visits, they got to see this atmosphere at its best. And there's no way, even if you knew Harsin was dead in the water, there's no way that you're able to show that atmosphere for that game at that time. It had to be somebody different. Even if we would have lost every game, it had to be somebody different than Harsin to get the momentum going the right way. So it worked.
Yeah, I can't miss this comment by Haley. Haley says Gus was the king of almost.
Yeah,
I think that is the perfect thing that anybody's ever said in the history of things. Guys, let's get to the giveaway. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. This is sponsored by GWT2 Energy Consulting Services, a longtime sponsor that's been keeping us afloat. So we appreciate that. We're giving away this morning drop mug. Did you say are you giving away just a mug, or are you giving away?
I'm going to give away the morning drop mug. I just don't have a graphic with it on there.
Okay. All right.
But let me see. I want to show y'all what this looks like. I have a picture somewhere in our chat, though. Let me just grab.
You just pull up in the store and
it's magnificent.
Y'all want to give away the white one or the black one?
Ooh. I might get you to make me an exclusive that only I have on the morning drop, because I need something that ain't nobody else got. Come on, show him the white. Show him the white with the guts trim, with the guts bright orange. I liked that one. That one was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
All right.
So see, now when you watch us here at the War Report, where every we do this. This is a tradition. We've given away something every show. We've never not given away something. So there's some people screaming for the 15-ounce here. Corey Weber says, do the black one. James Buckley wants the white one.
Y'all can't make up y'all mind either. All right,
you can pick. If you win, you can pick which one you want.
Okay, we'll do it that way. If you win, you get to pick whichever one you want.
Yeah, for sure. But you can go check that out in the store. The link is in the About It section of our channel.
I don't know where this thing is. I'm trying to share the
Yo, you want me to upload it? I'll upload it in the brand background.
All right. While they're doing that, there we go.
You got it.
Oh, that's it. Put it up.
Yeah, that's it right there.
Yeah. So this is the morning drop mug. Now, if you don't know what the morning drop is, we're doing.
Come on now.
We're doing a daily show. 10 Eastern. We're going live. I'm going to be joining Ike tomorrow morning to talk, and we're covering things in real time now. Auburn football is moving quickly. Auburn Sports is moving quickly. So the War Report is moving with it. We'll be live every morning, weekday morning, to talk to you guys about things that are happening in real time. When you wake up, you can get this mug. This is what we're giving away today. So do we want to hit that drawing and find out who's going to be the lucky winner?
Yeah, let me get my drawing situation back up here. Morning drop mug going to somebody today. Hashtag get your weight up. We have 98 entries.
Who is it going to be? Oh, man, I was going to say give 5 more seconds.
No, we ain't got time for all that. Y'all ain't gonna wait and see what the mug look like before you put just know it's fired. Y'all trust me when I say
Scotty.
What's up, Scotty? You got to be here, though, Scotty.
You got to be here. You got to be here to win. So look out for Scotty in the comments. Scotty, give us an I'm here, raise the red flag. Let us know that you're here so that we can get that mug out to you. Guys, let's just get into some comments here. You guys have been great. Yeah, we've got almost 500 people in here this morning talking about Auburn football and basketball. This is I feel like this is going to be one of the most anticipated springs that we've had in quite some time. Right. You've got Robbie Ashford, who is going to be the incumbent, hopefully healthy, with a healthy throwing shoulder. And they've been trying to bring in competition for him at quarterback, but it hasn't happened yet. Mm-hmm. Right. Like, how important is it for Auburn to get, another quarterback in here before spring practice?
Okay. So with the Spencer Sanders talk, and I saw a lot of Auburn fans liking that idea. There's something happening right now. That
Scotty's here, by the way.
Where is he at? Let's go ahead.
Yeah. We got Scotty. He said, "Hell yeah." He's here.
Right,
Congratulations, Scotty.
You know what you need to do. If you're not new, then you need to get us an email at business@the-war report so we can get that mug out to you, and tell us in the email whether you want the black version or the white version of the mug. Both of them. So the only difference is the white one is the color drop on the inside. The black is all black, but it's the same design on the outside. So let us know which one you want. So email us your address and choose which color you want, and I will get that out in the mail to you.
Yeah, congratulations, Scotty. We love giving stuff away at the War Report. It's one of my favorite things we do. B, you can continue your point. Sorry.
Oh yeah. So Spencer Sanders, and everybody's like, oh yeah, he's okay. So first of all, we talked about this a little bit on the morning drop a couple weeks ago. Spencer Sanders is not that good. All right, I think he is. I've played more games with the same skill set as Robbie Ashford, but I think Robbie Ashford is actually faster.
He's definitely faster.
Robbie Ashford's faster than most human beings, period.
Yeah.
So,
right. Yeah. So what I don't know the advantage of bringing in a guy who is I don't know. Is okay. So I went ahead and pulled up the Pro Football Focus, right?
Okay.
All right. So he played for 4 seasons. He played 2019, 20, 2021, and 2022 at Oklahoma State. All right. His overall grade between they combine your pass grade and your run grade for quarterbacks, and you have an offensive grade, right? So in 2019, he was a freshman, 64.7. All right. Yeah. Okay. So cool. You're freshman, you're learning. Second year, 74.4. Third year, 84.5. And that was the year where they went, I think, 11-1, or did they go 12-0? I don't remember which one.
Oklahoma
but they had
State's
a really
never
good
gone undefeated. So
okay. Well, they had the championship game and they lost to Baylor. I just didn't know if they were undefeated going into that championship game in the 2021 season. I don't think they were. So here's the thing. In 2022, when you have your most experience, you're coming off your best year. There's a 69.1. I watched him in that championship game against Baylor in 2021. He was the reason they lost that game.
Oh, he was the reason. Wow.
He was absolutely the reason they lost that game. Turnovers, both fumbles and interceptions. He didn't look like a great passer or the best decision maker. It looked like things were comfortable for him between what their defense, the defense was the reason Oklahoma State had an exceptional year in 2021. Their defense was outstanding. Their defensive coordinator after that year got poached by Ohio State. That's the type of defense they were playing there. Okay, they had a lot of seniors on the team. So I look at his grade, and I know they're grading his snaps. So he had to have played at least better than he had the previous seasons. But him being an elite quarterback talent, he is not that. Okay. You could say, well, Robbie Ashford isn't an elite quarterback talent either. Okay, well, I know for a fact that after 4 years with the same coaches in the same system, you are what you are. If it took you 3 years to build up and then all of a sudden you're less than the 70 is overall grade, which if I'm watching effect, that matches up with what the eye test showed me. I think you spin the dice with the guy who's already here, with the guy who showed promise, who just went through those lumps. His lowest grade, Spencer Sanders' lowest grade was his first season. Robbie Ashford just has his first on the field season. So the limit is up. Also, just from a recruiting standpoint, if you're going to clog up your room and push back the eligibility of the guys already here, which for a position like quarterback where only one guy can play at a time, you don't want to put anything in front of these guys. You want the guys that are here to be productive and get out.
Right.
You want somebody to have a stellar season, have all the reasons to go pro, leave. That's the best case scenario for you as a recruiter, because then you can tell the next guy who is coming out of high school, who is fantastic prospect, look what I did with the guy who I just had. Come on in. You've only got 1 or 2 guys ahead of you, because similar to what I did with that guy, they're going to play, get their shine, and leave. You put a Spencer Sanders in, and then you have a reason to give him preference because of his experience, which happens a lot. Football coaches like experience too, because they think you've seen more, you know more.
Right.
You'll be able to adjust to things quicker, especially learning a new system, because Robbie Ashford will have to learn a new system too, right? So you give a little preference to the guy with more experience. But then Robbie Ashford, who is only a redshirt sophomore now, I believe, he's still here. Holden Garner, redshirt freshman, He's still here. You got Hank Brown, who maybe he was a good recruit for you. Maybe he would just kind of get what you could get, but you expect him where you were at Liberty. If you're Hugh Freeze, you like something about him. Now he's here, and you want to be able to tell the stud quarterback recruit in 2024 that I have something for you, and my offense is going to be great for you. If you've got 3 guys with 3 or 4 years of eligibility in front of him, he doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to come there to sit for 3 or 4 years. You're not gonna, that message is gonna fall on deaf ears, unlike defensive backs, who you can put some at another position and they still produce and have prospects for the NFL, or you can have 2 or 3 guys. I mean, you can be running 6 defensive backs on some plays if you want to. You can do that. Quarterback, you cannot. We just saw Oregon's 5-star quarterback from Detroit flip to UCLA. Why? Because Bo Nix came back.
Right.
He was like, "Oh, I'm day one." Oregon's quarterback stayed. UCLA's quarterback, who had been with Chip Kelly for like 3 years, he left. That was it. Where can he go and get some playing time? Because quarterback, all NIL value is based on you getting on the field and people knowing that name. Your name is only worth money if people know it. If you're going to be on the back of the depth chart for 3 years, it's not worth anything. So when we're talking about recruiting an ultra talented quarterback recruit for 2024, he's going to have offers everywhere for people who desperately need quarterback play. And there's going to be NIL deals on the table for him. How can you, as a recruiter at Auburn, say, you're going to be worth so much money once you get on the field and play? When's that going to be? 2028. Bye. What are you talking to me about? Y'all got to go play those other quarterbacks. So what I'm saying is, if you're going to bring somebody in to compete with Robbie Ashford, it needs to be somebody with so much promise that they're going to be, if their ceiling is going to be higher than what you anticipate Robbie Ashford's ceiling to be. Spencer Sanders is not that dude.
Yeah, I'd argue you would want their floor to be higher than what you want Robbie Ashford, or you would anticipate Robbie's floor to be.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's get to some comments here because they're stacking up. Thomas Jones with the super sticker. We always appreciate those. He says, what's the last day transfers can sign and be eligible for spring practice? I believe it's January 18th.
Yeah, that's what Corey jumped in and said after that. January
18th and January 18th. So you got to get in there, make some decisions, figure your life out. Be a man, get it done.
10 days.
Auburn Dad for life. By the way, fellas, y'all see our trendsetter. See you, Auburn Undercover.
Basically, he's saying that we're trendsetters. Auburn Undercover now does a short morning info vid now.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Well,
Corey Weber, you can't pass for 10K yards and not have talent.
That's in reference to Spencer Sanders.
I mean, 57% completion percentage would indicate a
in
high
the Big 12. You can.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Right.
I don't think the argument against Spencer Sanders is about his talent. It's about whether or not he's realizing that talent on the field consistently enough to be a guy who comes in and should be a day one starter versus Robbie Ashford's talent, right? Because Robbie Ashford has talent as well. So I'm not going as far as to say he's trash, but I am going to say
I didn't say trash.
Oh, what did you say?
I was thinking it, but I didn't say trash. Go ahead.
Oh, what did you say? You said specifically Spencer Sanders
not
is
that dude.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I
think that Spencer Sanders could be good in this offense. The only thing for me that's appealing about a Spencer Sanders, not the only thing, but the thing that I think for me makes it intriguing is his level of experience. And I think that because he's run similar styled offenses, he could come in here, and because of his experience, he could be leader. He could show leadership in that quarterback room. Whether that means he's going to start, to me, is still a competitive thing, because I will say I don't know how many times I've said this. It's Robbie Ashford's job to lose. I don't care who you bring in.
Right.
Unless you're going to go get a guy who is all world and just wasn't getting a shot somewhere. Like, if you're not going to go get the second coming of Peyton Manning, it's Robbie's job to lose.
Right.
It just is. Like, I know that upsets people because, oh, Robbie this, right. I don't care what you feel about that.
Well, you said that about Bo Nix as well.
I said it about Bo. I said it about TJ. I'm telling you, that's how it works.
Yeah.
And you can be upset about how it works all you want to. That doesn't change how it works. It's Robbie's job right now to lose. Until you put somebody else in that room and they beat him, them being in the room doesn't change it.
And
they
so
have to beat him.
And so we're clear, Robbie wanted Hugh Freeze. This was a guy he wanted to play for. I'm saying that with direct knowledge of the situation. So, Hugh Freeze definitely knows that, which kind of bolsters your point to that, hey, there were a few players at that opening presser. Robbie Ashford was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And, Hugh posted up some things about, Robbie's throws, and it's clear that they expect a lot out of him. But again, that doesn't mean that you don't bring in competition for him either, because it's not just about who you think is going to win the job, but if you don't have multiple guys that can do the job in this league, you're playing with fire, and it's going to be really tough on you if the guy gets injured. Now, listen, I feel Hendon Hooker might have won the Heisman had he not got hurt or had a shot at it.
I think it's fair.
Right. It was just, and Milton came in and did it. Yeah, he did an admirable job in the wake, I think. Now, you're not a Joe Milton guy. You were never a Joe Milton guy.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, but, he played fairly well in Hooker's absence.
He proved me wrong. I mean, for that game, the defenses haven't had a season of his tape. I think after Hendon Hooker playing as many snaps as he did in 2021 and then coming back and being elite in 2022 says plenty. We'll see what Joe Milton looks like after people have plenty of time to sit and diagnose him.
Yeah, for sure. Sanders against Notre Dame was impressive. I have no knowledge of this, fellas. Anybody watch that game?
I have no idea.
That's why I don't have a big opinion on Spencer Sanders. I haven't watched enough of his games to feel any way about him. So like some people are high on him, some people are low on him. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you the last time I watched Oklahoma State play anything in any sport. Like, I just don't know enough about him. I can look at his statistics all day, but does that tell me the whole story? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, listen, by the pure numbers, because Beep brought up the PFF numbers earlier, it just looks average to me.
Yeah.
Last year, 17 touchdowns to 9 interceptions is
your most experienced year.
Right. Like it looks average to me. So again, without watching a bunch of film, is it something that's super impressive that he does that you think, or do you think just him in a Hugh Freeze offense might be dynamic, right? Because some guys can be great and
if you think Robbie can be dynamic in Hugh Freeze's offense, you absolutely think Spencer Sanders can be. They're very similar players, one with more experience.
So we'll see. Super chat here from Cleveland Brown. We appreciate these. Even if we don't land a QB during this portal window, it's not a bad thing. It gives Robbie and the other players spring time to improve and compete. I'm in between on this.
Yeah, I actually don't agree with this. I think you need to bring somebody in.
I think you need to bring somebody in, and bringing them in before spring is always preferable so that they get a chance to gel with their teammates. I think like TJ missing spring hurt him.
You talking about the first year?
Yeah, he didn't get a spring with this team because he signed after.
Here's the other thing that people are forgetting, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Mike. My bad. Mm-hmm. There's no guarantee that everybody entering the spring still is here after the spring.
Right.
So you definitely want to have guys in here to compete because you might need to go sign somebody else again after the spring to fill your room back out again.
Yeah, right. That's true. Right. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it would be perfect. If you're going to bring a guy in, bring him in before spring, I guess, that would be preferable, certainly. James Sawyer, if he's not the guy for Freeze, then I trust Freeze. Would love to see a healthy Robbie behind and improved O-line along with a full spring of 1 reps. I like this. Like, again, it's health is everything. And he gutted out last season to the extent a lot of people just aren't understanding how much he gutted out last season to get Auburn to even where they were. Neil White says ESPN dropped a Hugh Freeze hit piece on their website. Of course they did.
Didn't see this.
I'm definitely gonna go look. Neil, drop a link for us. because I definitely want to see what they're talking about. The past is the past, man. I feel like it's time to move on from old narratives and start talking about football. James Barnett, what part of Robbie was hurt? Do people not understand? I'm convinced people just don't want Robbie playing QB, even though he ran all over Nick Saban's defense. Now, he's not switching positions. I've heard a lot. We've gotten this comment a lot, like he should be playing wide receiver. It's quarterback or nothing for this guy, according to him.
Right. The best you're going to get from him is wildcat quarterback. That's the best that you. But he is not going to play wide receiver.
He's not switching positions at all. He's a quarterback. He stated he's a quarterback. And his feeling is just because he's athletic doesn't mean, when he struggles, the conversation should automatically switch to switching positions. So he's going to play quarterback or nothing. Derek Anderson, who's to say Holden is going to give Robbie more competition than anyone in the portal right now? I think Holden will be great in this system. That's a great point. We've got a guy already here that can throw the ball. We know he can throw.
Yeah.
We know
he's
Holden
a passer.
Yeah.
He is the best. Well, I don't know if Hank Brown is a great passer or not, but he is a passer much more than he is a runner. Robbie being most dangerous right now with his legs, with room to improve as a passer. But listen, I think it's unfortunately we get kind of enamored with the new. What don't we know? How many starts they have and all that stuff. There's somebody right now that's sitting on a bench waiting to get a shot, and they're going to light it up as soon as they do. There's no reason to assume that just because he didn't play in front of Robbie Ashford with that offensive line, it made no sense for him to. That Holden Garrett doesn't have extreme value as a passer, and this offense will definitely be more pass happy than what we've run the last 4 games of last season and under Gus as well.
So let me say this, and I'll let you jump in here, Mike. I think we need a portal QB conversation. We need, not we want to fill out a room. Like there's a difference because, so let me make I hate having to make disclaimers because all of a sudden people feel like you're talking to them. There's a difference between the people who say we need to bring more bodies in to compete because we can't just have 3 scholarship quarterbacks, which now 4, we got the preferred walk-on, right? Going into the season, and the people who say Robbie needs to sit a year, folks. Right. So we need to bring somebody in who's going to be a starter this year. Those are 2 different conversations. I'm talking to the second group of those people. Those people are being slightly disrespectful to Robbie Ashford. They're being super disrespectful to Holden Garrett. Because if you feel like Robbie isn't the guy, because 9 times out of 10, those people aren't saying that because they don't think Holden Garrett can throw. Right. They're saying it because they don't think Robbie Ashford can throw. Right. That it has nothing to do with his ability. If you don't think Robbie can throw, but Holden can, and you're like, well, we just need to bring somebody else in to allow Robbie another year. That's code for saying you don't want Robbie to start, or you don't want Holden on this team.
Right.
Because if you're going to bring somebody in and they're going to be the holding place for Robbie, that means that's a whole other year before you get to see Holden. 2, maybe. Holden Garrett is not going to sit around all that time. Bro.
Yeah.
That's just not going to happen.
Yeah, he's going to transfer out.
There's no if you think a QB competition is good, why can't Holden be the guy to compete?
Right. What about Holden do they think rules him out from being able
to run for most people?
Yeah. I'm like, it's lack of confidence in the offensive line, right? For him, because if you can't protect, they think a lot of people think he's a sitting duck back there. Now, one of you made the comment that this is going to be a more pass happy offense, which I couldn't agree with more. It's definitely going to be more pass happy. There was a stat that said essentially Hugh Freezes' leading receiver on average is about around 850 or 60 yards a season. Those are historic numbers at Auburn. Like to have an 800 plus yard receiver. I mean, the last person that we had that got close to that was Sammy Coates, maybe. Like, I mean, I can't,
know the answer
chat.
To
that. Chat, chime in if you know the answer to that. But like, I mean, he was the last. I think Darvin Adams was the last one that sniffed 1,000 yards. Right. So, and that was, catching balls from Cam Newton. And he definitely had like a 200-something yard game in the SEC championship versus South Carolina that year. So, I mean, to me, I'm just thinking, hey, they're going to pass the ball more, and you've got a guy behind Robbie who is a pure passer. So I don't know. I don't know why Holden got so lost in this conversation. Like, I just don't know. I think it's a mistake to write him off. And I'll be interested to see if they have a version of this offense that fits him, because he, again, is polar. He's dynamic, but he's dynamic in a different way than Robbie, right? So, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Joseph says, I love your show. Joseph, our show loves you, man. Thank you. We appreciate that.
Welcome.
Brad said, the question is not whether he is elite. It's what it is. Is he better than what Auburn currently has? Unfortunately, without comparing similar competition, it's impossible to tell. That's fair comment, right?
I think let me also denote this. What I saw from Spencer Sanders was in the biggest game of his career that has mostly colored my opinion of him, and he stunk. You can't stink in the biggest game you ever played, and then we're acting like we're upgrading. I don't. And that's a personal thing. You know what I'm saying?
Like you just said, stunk sent me. I don't know why.
Like somebody else who I kind of have the same opinion of. And if you're a Cowboys fan, I'm sorry, Dak Prescott. He looks great some games, and there's some games where he's like, "Why are you giving it away? What are you doing?" I need to see a big game where everything's on the line and the defense is ready for you. Just like Baylor was ready for Spencer Sanders. They were a quality defense. Dave Aranda's a quality defensive mind. And they were starting a true freshman that game. And they won the Big 12 championship game. And then the following year, he has his worst year. But you know what else changed in the Big 12 that year? Texas got a little bit better. K-State got better. And TCU got better. So when the teams around you were good, you post up the second worst out of 4 overall valuable grades as far as how you'll grade it out. Who do we play?
Right.
We're playing that we got twice as many good teams on our schedule. This is not going to be that easy. And I don't, if 2021, 2022 Big 12 defense, cakewalk. 2021 and 2020 Big 12 defense was very easy, very amenable. 2022 was not, and that's your worst game. Or that's your worst year. I don't like that.
Right. Yeah, that's it's all gonna be interesting, man. We got so many storylines going into the spring. Thomas Jones, if Robbie is the guy, he will be the guy with competition regardless. Hugh is bringing guys everywhere. Why question QB if he brings in Sanders? I agree. Like, again, the best man is going to win, assuming that there are no favoritism aspects that we had come to understand under not the last coach, but the coach before, right? Like, so if it's just competition, it's just competition. One guy goes out there and, what's funny was I was watching last night, guys, I was watching the Titans game and they said Dobbs was going to start. And in my head, I was like, what happened to Malik Willis? Is he hurt? My understanding is he's healthy, but he was the number 2 quarterback at some point, and he got beat out by Dobbs in practice. So number 1 goes down and they're just going to play the best guy because that's what you do, right? You play the best guy. So,
Willis he did start a couple of games this season and
they
was
won.
Not good. But he wasn't good.
They won the first one. Yeah, but you're right.
Yeah. And that was it.
I don't care about them. So I never watched them.
Yeah, right.
They don't play the 49ers. I don't know what they're doing with their life. So
I keep forgetting you're a 49ers fan. It's weird to me.
No,
thanks, Thomas Jones, for the super sticker. We appreciate that. Stephen Riley asked, how long is Holden going to wait behind Robbie? This is a great question.
Listen.
Yeah,
hear what I'm saying to you. If Holden Gardner is not at least QB2 coming out of the spring, he is out of here.
Out of here. He's gone.
Yeah.
I don't think he sits around another season hoping he gets a shot because the couple of guys that you threw up in front of him got hurt or didn't play well. If he is not at least the backup quarterback, number 2 on that depth chart, he's gone. He's gone. Somebody else is going to give him a shot to come play. That's all I'm saying to you. He ain't gonna sit around and wait.
Right. So, Derek Anderson, Dobbs has only been with the team 16 days. Again, it kind of bolsters my point about again, you're going to play the best guy, right? And hopefully Hugh Freezes is bringing that sort of mentality, to Auburn's, not just the QB room. We talk about the QB room a lot, but it should be every room, honestly, right? Yeah. Is that where they're applying that mantra? Chris Sanders, Holden is an unknown. Robbie is a relative known. It would be nice to have someone with experience and a high floor. I only disagree that he's maybe an unknown to people who haven't seen him. At this point, he's a known to the staff.
And the players who played with him. Like, again, we don't have a completely new staff. Like Cadillac knows him.
Yeah. He's an unknown on the field, but he's a known in practice.
Right. And so I think that this validates fans' feelings, but everybody's unknown to Hugh Freeze. He ain't watched none of them play. Right. So everybody has an equal opportunity to go out there and press. So this is why I think fans feel the way. Well, I would feel better as a fan if I had seen somebody play before. But like they have to start at some point somewhere. Like nobody just hops up with experience playing on a football field. Like that's not how it works. You don't always just get to have experience, guys. So if he's gonna learn and he's good, you got to give him a chance to prove it out there on the field at some point in time.
For sure. Walt Taylor with the super chat. Walt Sanders, Spencer Sanders. What do we think about Freeze's win-loss record this upcoming season? Seems to be the most winnable in a while. The schedule is favorable. The schedule is favorable. And
we always feel better when we have Georgia and Bama at home. Out of conference stuff, UMass, like I don't think that anybody's worried about that.
And Cal is trash and has been for a while.
Here's the thing. Could they be better next year? I have no idea.
Could be.
Who watches Cal football? Nobody.
Because
who watches the Pac-12 network? Nobody.
Because it's trash.
Nobody watches that.
It definitely sets up for his quick turnaround narrative. The schedule does, right? So we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think they proved it was when it was looking like a 4-win season. They pulled out 5, and didn't get the bowl game, obviously, but ironically due to Hugh Freeze. But they have a chance next year to show more of what we saw over the last half of the season over the first half of next season. Right? Being able to run the ball effectively, getting guys involved. I mean, we had kids who jumped in the portal and then we hired Hugh Freeze and they were like, maybe we'll reconsider. Right? Landon King was one of them. Wasn't he one of the kids that was in the portal for like a few days and then pulled his name out?
100% was.
And fans have been clamoring to see more of him. Right? So, Hugh Freeze's win-loss record this upcoming season, I'm sure we're gonna cover this at a lot. Mm-hmm. So, I think 8 wins is possible. Personally, based on what they did this season and how close some of these games were, so these losses were. Mississippi State, wow, man. Overtime, 6 wins, right? And you're not telling me there's not 2 more wins on the schedule with a more experienced incumbent quarterback, potentially.
Right.
A line that is better equipped, and a system and a scheme that puts players in better positions than the last scheme that was employed over the first half of the season. Yeah. 8 wins. I mean, what do you think, guys, here closing out? Like, 8 wins realistic for Auburn in 2023?
Yes.
It's not unrealistic.
And mostly, well, go ahead. My bad.
No, you can go because I don't have much to say on this. I don't know.
So. I think we knew that we were, again, 2020, 2021, we knew the offensive line was borderline, right? Mm-hmm. 2022, it all fell apart. What you have in 2023 now is, I don't know how good all these guys coming in offensive line. I didn't watch their tape if they transferred in. Mm-hmm. I don't know what they played like in JUCO. What I do know is for the first time, there will actually be enough talent for there to be competition on the offensive line. And we finally have a position where you're not getting it. Here we got another dude. If you were to include every true freshman we will have on the roster next year, guys who just signed out of high school, I think we probably have somewhere in that combination of guys a great offensive line, but they have to find it. And the true freshmen have to get their bodies up to speed. So the ones that get here in spring, I don't think it's past outside the realm of possibility that we could have a true freshman starting on the offensive line, or at least playing significant minutes eventually by the end of the season, because we're finally seem to have talent there. And we were just so deficient in the offensive line. I think it dropped our expectations because we see how poorly our offense struggled when our offensive line wasn't at least good. I think we will have a good offensive line for the first time in a very long time. And I also see other teams, I want to say stepping back. I think Ole Miss was always mediocre. Their bowl record just completed, as far as what their season was. Mississippi State, of course, RIP to Mike Leach, but that type of turnover is a shock to the system. They lost so much talent.
They got, what you call it?
Will Friend?
Yeah, Will Friend is there now.
Yeah, he is there. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, he's not going to provide no insight for us because everything about us is different. So he's not going to really be able to.
Yeah,
I'm saying he could be the catalyst for the resurgence of Mississippi.
Hey, everything looked better on the Will Friend once Harsin left. So I don't know how much
Yeah, I mean, I saw a lot of tweets that after he got hired that I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Yeah. Right? Like, yeah. I mean,
Will Friend isn't that bad. Listen,
he's not that bad.
He just he drew the short straw. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Marriott Thomas says Auburn will be California's Super Bowl game. Ike.
To my Cal next year. At least you used the metaphor correctly.
Yes, for sure, definitely. Beast Mode says, what's y'all's predictions on tomorrow's national championship game, UGA or TCU? I got UGA by 3 tutties, baby. TCU is not going to compete in this one. I'm saying it, and I will eat my words if they do, but I don't like TCU in this one at all. I think Kirby is prepared for this one, and I think TCU is overmatched greatly.
I agree. Michigan never really had a good offense. They just pulled some stuff out the hat for Ohio State that worked. And you saw as their offense pretty much gave 18 points to TCU. Georgia is not going to give you 3 touchdowns.
Right.
Like that, you're not going to get that. You got mulligan after mulligan after just free points. You're not going to get that from this Georgia team. And I think, man, Kirby has these boys. I've been most impressed with Kirby Smart, not the recruiting, not him choosing and sticking with Stetson Bennett, which ended up being the right decision, but his ability to keep his guys hungry. And what we saw from Georgia in the semifinal game, they found a way to win. I hate when people say that because really that's a way. A lot of times you didn't play great, but the other team effed up more, so you won the game. That's not finding a way to win. What Georgia did, coming back from down 14 twice, yes, they won because the guy shanked the field goal. Absolutely true. They were outplayed to a good extent, and they found a way to at least put themselves right back in that game. And it was because of what they did, not what the other team didn't do, because Ohio State was giving them all they could handle. So I like that type of moxie. I like that experience. And to what Mike said, they are hungry, man. They are way more talented than TCU. TCU, the run's over. Georgia by at least 17.
Yeah, I got Georgia winning this game. I feel like Michigan did everything that they could to just gift that game in the semifinal to TCU, and still almost won. So I can't see a team more talented, in my opinion, than Michigan going out there and doing the same thing, which is just gifting points to them. Like 2 pick sixes, bro. Like not just a turnover, but like a turnover that directly led to points twice.
Right. Like that's outrageous.
A fumble on the 1 yard line, the 1 inch line. Like I can't unsee that in my mind and say, oh yeah, TCU went out there and played to a high level against Michigan. No, they didn't. Like Michigan screwed themselves repeatedly. And now again, you got he can't just throw the ball to a guy. You got to pick it, right? So you got to give them credit for the interceptions. My question is, are you going to do that twice against Stetson Bennett this game?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Listen, if Stetson goes out there and throws for 350 and a few touchdowns, I just don't see how they hang in this one personally. And if Georgia does what they've done all season on defense, and turns in now, CJ Stroud played a great game. I mean, he played a great game against Georgia, and I think he has been a little disrespected and somewhat underrated in terms of how people have viewed him. But I don't think Max Duggan is going to do the same thing, that Stroud did. I don't think that's a shot. So like now I am an SEC homer, admittedly. Like I'm not like Ike is like, listen, screw everybody outside of Auburn. Auburn's not playing. But
I mean, I don't care if they win. Here's the thing, right? Who cares?
Yeah. I just think that the superior talent, the superior coaching, the superior everything experience is on the other side, and it's going to be a mountain. This is the largest spread in national championship history for a championship game. 13. It's like 13 points.
Yes, it's fluctuating between 12.5 and 13.
Yeah. Yeah, they're saying this is the largest spread difference in, national championship history.
Which,
Vegas,
if I was TCU, I'd be very pissed off about that.
right? Like they're just saying you have no shot. They're saying you're going to lose by at least 2 touchdowns, no matter what. So we'll see how that goes. Guys, it's been a great show. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We had over 500 of you in here at some point. Ike, we got a few announcements. Tell the people what they can do.
They can become members of the War Report. We got a lot of membership content we're going to be dropping on your headpiece over the next few weeks, man. Tomorrow, Ron Roberts film. If you like defense and you want to see what our defense is going to look like, you got to be a member. Midday drops will be happening. The morning drops happening. Got to be a member to be a part of that, Chad. If you are a member and you want to gift a membership to somebody else because for whatever reason they have not understood what sunshine truly felt like and they've only seen ultraviolet light, the War Report membership actually is proven to help you with all of that in your life. So it's internal sunshine that you get, like this sense of whatever. Anyway, yeah, you can gift them a membership and do that sort of thing. If you didn't get a chance to win any merch today, and maybe you want to go get yourself a War Report morning drop mug, head over to warreport.com, check out our merch store. And all of the stuff is there when you go to shop and see the catalog. We are the Auburn Express on all of your podcast places, powered by the War Report. Make sure you guys check out the audio-only content, stuff like the Lobtown Pod, talking about basketball. If you want more basketball content, we're there with that. Stuff like Mike Mack and Memes. If you wanted to hear more about the Auburn online blogosphere, Twitter sphere, betting props, all that stuff, we can talk about that there. If you want to hear more about the SEC overall, then you can hit us up and listen on the Auburn Express when we're doing our Amen Corner podcast. So much audio only content. You're not getting the whole picture. If you're just here on YouTube, we are all over the place. And we appreciate y'all for supporting us in all those spaces.
Yeah, listen, guys, share this video at the War Report, hashtag get your weight up. Please use all those things on social media. We're very active on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So please share, help us grow. Like and subscribe. This is an easy way. If you're watching this, hit the like button. We are dangerously close to 10,000 subscriptions, and we need your help to get over that hump quickly. So share with a friend. If you know somebody who may be watching, ask them to hit that subscribe button for us. Some of you guys watch, but maybe haven't hit subscribed or you don't log in. Log into YouTube for us, hit subscribe, help us hit that 10K mark. Guys, it's been a great show. We'll be back at you guys with the morning drop tomorrow morning, myself and Ike Jones. But until then, War Eagle.
War Eagle.